Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the first live webinar for 2026 Everyday Herbalism from my Fiji home. Welcome. This is my home here in Suva, Fiji. So we are live on 3 platforms. So allow me to just, there you go, make sure that everything is working properly, and then we can get started. I've got the chat on. We are live on 3 platforms. So please do tell me where you're watching us from and leave comments. All right, let me just make sure it's saying here video is starting. I need to just double check if that is indeed working on. Oh no, okay. It's having trouble with one of our platforms. I think I will just remove that for now. Remove. Okay. Changes. All right, cool. We are live. All right, guys. So if you're jumping here, just letting you know we are live on our YouTube channel, Michelle T. Jones, and our Michelle T. Jones official Facebook page. For some reason, it's not wanting to stream onto my group. So, guys, if you're on the group, I hope you are seeing this. If not, this is going to get uploaded onto our Michelle Jones coaching group. Again, let me just see where this is all going. I might turn that off so we are not making it difficult. All right, I am going to turn that off. Okay. All right. So, guys, again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You can see our papaya there in the background, humongous leaf. We've got ginger hiding, and we are ready. I am so excited to actually be sharing with you. Hey, Connie, good morning. And can you please just leave a message on our group because I can't go live on our group for some reason. We are live right now on YouTube and on our page, Michelle T. Jones page, but it's not wanting to stream on the group. So please just advise everyone that they can jump into the events page and watch us on our Michelle T. Jones page. All right. Cool. Thank you. All right, so let me share my screen here. Here we go, share. Awesome. Okie doke. I can see the comments. That is what we're wanting to see. Okay, guys, again, thank you for jumping in. Thank you for being here. Let me know where you're jumping in from. This is very exciting for me because obviously this is our first session in 2026 for our free herbalism series. And I've mentioned to on my posts that if you guys are interested and if you feel like this resonates with you, or if you know friends and family that might be interested in this, please do share with them this free session. Please do share the information as well of where they can register, because from February onwards, all the sessions will only come out on our Michelle Jones coaching group. When we discuss our courses, when we do our courses on the groups, we're able to actually dive deeper into the topics because it's not just easily accessed by anyone. And that just means that, people that jump into the group have the intention of learning either herbalism, learning natural remedies, natural medicine, iridology, wellness, because that's what my group does. So again, if you love this, if this will resonate with you, jump on and join our group. Okay, so I don't want you guys to think that herbalism is actually something that is going to overwhelm you. I have entitled this series Everyday Herbalism in My Fiji Home because this is going to be a very relaxed, very simple, very um, um, casual, practical introduction to herbalism. This is not meant to overwhelm you with plant names, with chemistry of plants, with requiring you to use, high-tech tools and stuff. It isn't. It is literally herbalism that you can practice from your home, your kitchen, your garden. You can get stuff from the market or the grocery if you don't have, or if you don't plant herbs in your garden. So that's what this series is meant. When I say everyday herbalism, I'm talking about like literally the simplest herbs, the simplest ways that you can help support your body through what's growing around us, through teas, through decoctions, through really basic remedies. So I hope you guys are excited. I hope that this is something that you will be able to continuously enjoy and share with others, because you know what? Herbalism is a great part of our life. And sometimes we just don't realize it. So let me just breathe for a sec, drink that. Okay. So um, this series really is my goal in this is to actually help you reconnect with what's natural, what's around us, what's been given to us. It's teaching you how to reconnect with the plants around us, with the body that we have, with our organs, with our system. Sometimes we get so disconnected because of how busy our lifestyle is that we don't really hear or see or feel these things that our body signaling us to actually provide it, right? Also, the same way as our own body signaling us when it needs help, our surroundings are signaling us if there is something that they feel can help us. Okay, so I know that kind of sounds a bit woo, but it's true. When you learn about herbalism, you will realize that you have what you need around you to actually keep yourself healthy. That when you have a weakness, all of a sudden there will be a herb that will grow in your garden, because that's just how energy works. Where you're wanting the energy to go is where it goes. If you say, oh, I really just want to get rid of this cough and I just don't know what to give it or what to take, the herb will show up, the solution will show up. Okay, and being connected back to what's around us, understanding what's there, understanding what all these different weeds and herbs and plants actually do for us, will help us make a better judgment, or better judgment call to what we need to take when we are unwell, okay, or when we just want to be healthy. So again, you don't need any amazing tools. You don't need prior knowledge on herbs. I just need you to be curious and have an open mind and a willingness to learn, a willingness to see plants in a little differently to the way you used to see them. Okay. So again, welcome. I'm really, really excited that you're here, and let's keep going. Oops, am I clicking the right spot? Okay, here's the arrow. There we go. Okay. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Michelle Jones. I am a herbalist, a naturopath, an iridologist, a functional nutritionist, and I've been working in the field of natural health since 2008. So, my relationship with wellness, with well being, with natural alternative healing has been something that has been, how do you call it? Running my passion. It's been something dictating my passion. I get really, really excited when I talk about health. So if I am speaking fast, let me know so I can slow down. If you've got any questions, type up the questions and I will go back to them at the end of the presentation and respond to your questions so that you can understand what I am teaching you today. So one thing I wanted to share though is when I was much younger, I grew up using very simple plant remedies. I grew up in the Philippines. So herbs and herbalism, I believe, is more strongly felt in societies where, there is a much bigger lower income bracket or a much bigger middle income bracket. When it's a very uh, prosperous society, sometimes herbal medicine goes onto the backbench because people have the money for more expensive medicines. But in societies where they don't have all that fund, looking back at what our forefathers used, looking back at what nature can give us for free is usually the go-to. So when I grew up in the Philippines and I had chicken pox, the one of the very first things that I was told to do was to actually bathe myself in boiled guava leaves. So water that's been boiled with guava leaves, because guava leaves, or what we call in the Philippines dahon ng bayabas, be, is it's traditionally used and traditionally known for its cleansing and antiseptic and soothing properties. So at the time, we didn't call it herbalism, we just called it what we were meant to do. We just called it listening to our elders. We never questioned it. It was just our way of life. So those early experiences stayed with me. If you guys are watching me from the Philippines, you also know, like in the Philippines, one of the things that everyone hears about is pito pito that is sold in the market. And pito pito literally means 7 7, because it's 7 herbs that's sold in a pack. And this 7 herbs sold in a pack is actually used for its immune boosting properties. So it's something that's readily available if you just know what you're looking for and where you're looking for it. Now, how I see herbs today has been shaped by what I was taught when I was younger, as well as what I've learned through my studies in herbalism, my practice in herbalism, and the travels that we've done. So over the years, I've practiced across different countries, learned how the different cultures used all these different herbs, and I've lived, experienced both the herbs and the people, and how they hold herbalism in their society, in their culture, and what they do with their herbs, how they use herbalism. So for me, herbalism isn't just a subject that I've learned, isn't just a course that I actually enrolled into, isn't just a practice that I've done, but it's actually always been about the people, the society, the circumstances, the plants where they're grown, the people where they've been, and the people and the relationship to nature. Because that's what herbalism is. When you jump into something new, when you take a new medicine, when you take a new remedy and you don't believe it, you all of a sudden actually teach your body to not accept what that remedy is going to do to you. We have people who get all sorts of reactions or side effects, and sometimes those side effects are brought about by what you've told your body the medicine was going to do to you. Herbalism is the same. Herbs have amazing properties, but if you don't use them properly, if you don't give them the respect that they deserve, they actually don't work the same way. Okay? So, again, may sound a bit frou-frou, but bear with me, and I will be explaining it a little bit further down this presentation. So as I said, I currently live in Fiji. I live in Suva, the capital of Fiji. And we literally have about 321 days left before our posting here comes to an end, before it's time to actually say bye-bye and move on to the next place. So I actually made the decision to honor this chapter of our life properly. And that's why over the next 10 and a half months, I'll be hosting free monthly herbalism classes, each one carrying a distinct Fiji flavor. Now, before you say, hold on, I don't live in Fiji, I don't have those herbs, different herbs grow in this area, I want to say that these sessions are literally going to blow your mind, because you'll find out and you'll learn that as each herb is introduced to you, as you learn what their scientific names are, as you learn how they look like, you will see that they actually are available in different parts of the world as well. Maybe not all of them, but some of them. And The great thing about these herbs is there are herbs that are similar, there are herbs that are the same, there are herbs that are from the same herbal family, or that's right, herbal families, and their actions will be similar. There will be some differences in actions as well, but a lot of the times we're able to use them in the same way. And if you actually find that you're wanting to get more information, deeper knowledge in herbalism, in what you can use, what you can substitute, what each herb is for, what grows in your area, do join our courses, but do jump in our Michelle Jones coaching group first. That's the first step. The first step is to just get there. There are so many resources there. We have been teaching in the Michelle Jones coaching group since 2021, since COVID hit. So that was when that group was set up. And since then, there's so many resources there that you can actually go into and start learning and start doing. But through the Michelle Jones coaching group, you will also be able to be privy to all my courses that are up and coming. Okay, so courses can run from really basic stuff like, our herbal tea beginners class, all the way to advanced herbalism, and setting up your own practice. So if those are the things that are, catching your fancy, something you want to check out even further, again, jump into our Michelle Jones coaching group. And it's a Facebook group. Okay. So I've shared about my journey. I've shared about the reason I am doing this 10.5 month free herbalism course. I will be sharing a little bit more about myself as we go through the different lessons and the different slides as well. So let's keep going. Again, if you've got any questions, please do type it on our chat, and I will get back to those questions at the end of this presentation. So the first step in truly understanding herbalism is to answer the question, what is herbalism? So herbalism is really about the use of plants to support health and well-being, whether that's for nourishment, recovery, or the prevention of illness. It includes the use of different parts of the plant depending on the herb that we're talking about. Some herbs use with some herbs we can use their leaves, with some we can use their roots, with some it's just the resin, with some we can use all of them: leaves, roots, bark, flowers, seeds, and sap. Okay. Herbs are prepared in different ways depending on the culture, depending on the country. Some are prepared as teas, some as infusions, decoctions. We will be talking about tinctures, oils, powders, salves, balms. And again, herbalism isn't just about one way of doing things. There's a lot of different ways herbs are used. There are so many different ways herbs, so many different ways that herbs are seen, and so many different practices used depending on the culture. And all of that is what I want to be able to share with you through the courses, through the lessons, and through our free lives as well. But again, herbalism isn't just about herbs. It's really about observation. It's noticing how your body responds to the herb that you're taking, how the plant grows, how the seasons change, what's available for the different seasons, and how your health shifts over time. It's really about taking a closer look and understanding of your body as a whole. We don't want herbs to be used just to treat symptoms. Herbalism, like a lot of the other natural remedies out there, or natural medicine, uh, forgot the word, but other medicine, other alternative medicine. What's the term? I've lost it. modalities. There you go. So, like other alternative medicine modalities or natural medicine modalities, our remedies are designed so that it actually treats the whole person, not just an organ, not just a system, not just a symptom, but the whole being. And a lot of the times with herbal medicine, we actually try and use the whole plant, because when you do an extract of a property of a plant, you don't maximize the benefits of that plant. Or in some cases, you also cause some side effects, because using just one component or one property of the plant prevents the protective properties that that plant has. Um, uh, so it prevents you from actually being able to leverage the protective property that that plant may have against the effect of that single property that you're pulling out. Okay, so a lot of the times, and when properties are pulled out from our herbs and put into medicine, that's what we see. We actually see that there are some side effects that are created because it's not a whole plant preparation. Okay, now we're not going to go into medicine. We're not going to go into pharmacology. We are going to talk more about herbalism, about how you can create these remedies, how you can understand them from your home. So, this is going to be the very basic part of herbalism. And if, again, you want to go deeper, then we have to look at getting you into the courses. All right. So, one important thing to understand is that herbalism isn't just also a single system. It exists across different cultures. It exists in the indigenous traditions, Ayurvedic medicine, TCM or traditional Chinese medicine. It's in Western herbalism and countless local practices passed down through families. So, in many parts of the world, herbalism has never disappeared. It's something that's been passed on for generations and generations. It's usually, in some cases and in some places, simply just been forgotten. But you will always find those, you'll always find a population in those cultures or in those societies that actually still practice herbalism. In fact, you'll be surprised with a study that I'll be sharing with you shortly on how much of the population actually practices herbalism. So, the lens we'll be using in this series is not herbalism as something complicated or inaccessible, but as a practical, lived tradition that people have always used to care for themselves and their families. We're going to look at the simplest methods people have used the different herbs. And once we understand what herbalism is, the natural question will always become, how have people been doing this and where did it all begin? Right? So let's go there. My arrow keeps disappearing. There we go. Okay, so how far back does herbalism go? Herbalism has always existed as far back as when humans existed. Long before we had doctors, hospitals, pharmacies, or before people learned, any form of studies in medicine. Why? Because people learned to watch what nature had. Humans learned to see what animals were doing to actually relieve their stomach pain, or heal their wounds, or what they ate that made them sick, right? Because not all herbs are medicines to treat. Some are actually toxic herbs that are used for poison. Okay, so which plants soothe pain, which helped heal wounds, which supported digestion, sleep, or strength, all these were recorded through time based on people's observations and based on their trial and errors as well. So some of the earliest written records of herbal medicine dated back over 5,000 years. As you can see there on the summary that I've created, the ancient Sumerian clay tablets list medicinal plants and preparations used for healing as far back as 3000 BCE, right? Surprisingly, among the plants referenced during the time were aromatic and preservative herbs. And that included plants like thyme, which is valued for its cleansing and preservative qualities. Now, it's not surprising that one of the first things that was referenced was preservative herbs. If you remember back then, they didn't have fridges, right? So, how would they preserve meat? How would they get rid of the foul smell of meat? How would meat from a boar that's been hunted last long? So, spices and preservative herbs were one of the first things that people learned about. In ancient Egypt texts like the Eber's Papyrus document, they actually were able to document hundreds of plants for common ailments. And remembering that this is Egypt, remembering Cleopatra, it's not surprising to note that one of the herbs that was actually documented back then was aloe vera. The aloe vera back then was already recognized as a healing plant for the skin and the body. So, for just a small bit of trivia about aloe vera is an exceptional herb because the sap of the aloe vera, if you put on your skin, can actually absorb to 7 layers of your skin. How cool is that, right? So again, amazing to know what herbs, what plants were already seen back then. So Ebers Papyrus was 1550 BCE, a very, very long time ago, right? So Ayurvedic medicine in India has also been practiced for 3,000 years. They've been using herbs as part of a whole system approach, much like how alternative medicine practices these days, where it's about the whole being. Ayurveda has relied on herbs like turmeric for thousands of years. Turmeric, curcumin is one of the oldest herbs that's been used in Ayurveda, because it also is not just a medicine, it's actually been part of daily food and life since back then. Turmeric has long been used to support inflammation, digestion, wound healing, and overall vitality. So aside from all that, we've got TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. And TCM dates back to more than 2,500 years. And the documentations, the formulas that have been found on TCM have been so priceless. Ginseng is one of the most well-known herbs in TCM, and one of the most amazing herbs has been discovered because it has been used and is still used for strength, vitality, for energy, for improved resilience, for stress. In ancient Greece, physicians like Hippocrates and later Dioscorides laid foundations for Western herbal medicine that influenced Europe for centuries, and then later medicine. At the same time, indigenous cultures across Africa, the Pacific, the Americas, the Southeast Asia developed rich herbal traditions, which have often been passed down orally through families and communities rather than written texts. But what's important to understand is that herbalism didn't begin in one place or one culture. It emerged independently across the world because humans everywhere were observing the same thing, that plants could actually help support our health and our survival. In many cultures, herbalism was never separated from daily life. Food, medicine, ceremony, and environment were all connected. And in many parts of the world, that connection still exists today. So when we talk about herbalism, we're not talking about a trend for a or a revival or something forgotten. We're talking about a continuous human practice that has been adapted over time and that has also, I guess, improved over time because of the improvement in technology, which leads to something many people find surprising. Despite modern medicine, the majority of the world still relies on traditional and herbal medicine in some form today. So now, this is a big question for all of you. Do you actually agree with that statement that I just made? Do you believe that majority of the world relies on tradition and herbal medicine in some form today? I'd love to get your feedback on that. I'd love to see what you think, whether you're watching this live or on replay. Please do type one if you agree with this, that herbal medicine is still practiced by a majority today. And two, if you don't agree with that, you actually think that herbal medicine is barely practiced. And three, if you don't know. Okay, so one, if you agree that herbal medicine is practiced by a majority of the world. Two, if you do not believe that and you think that only a small portion of the globe actually practices herbal medicine. And type three, if you just don't know. I'd love to know your thoughts on this. I'd love to see what it is. Let's see. Yep. I believe herbs is everywhere from your slide. Samaria is new for me. The rest are familiar to me. Yes, it's everywhere and it's still practiced. Majority of the world practices it. And I'm going to give you proof of that. I'm going to share with you my proof if I can click the correct slide. There we go. This is a study by the World Health Organization. And in a report published in 2023, as you can see there, approximately 80% of the world population relies on traditional medicine, including herbal medicine, for some aspect of their primary care. That number often surprises people. I guess that surprises a lot of people, especially those living in Western countries. People often assume herbalism is something from the past, something only a small group of people still use today. But this is one of the most important grounding facts to understand. The majority of the world's population currently uses some form of traditional medicine. This includes rural and indigenous communities, developing nations, and increasingly people in Western societies who use herbs alongside conventional medical care. And that's why in countries like Australia, the US, Canada, and Europe, even in Asia, in the Philippines, in Indonesia, you will find Ayurvedic doctors. You will find naturopathic doctors. You will find herbalists. You will find, you know, all the different modalities being practiced and people actually coming to those practitioners because they want help outside the medical field. Now, just a disclaimer here, I am not anti-medical field. I'm not anti-doctors. I believe that we can all work together and actually have a healthier, better, happier society because we all have our specialties, right? We were trained with herbs, with what the herbs can do to the body, and they were trained with what medicines can do to the body, right? So we all have our specialties. Now, the World Health Organization also recognizes that traditional medicine is used across more than, look at that, 170 of its 194 member states, and includes practices such as herbal medicine, Ayurveda, as I mentioned earlier, TCM, acupuncture, and indigenous healing systems. For many people around the world, herbal medicine is used for everyday health support, digestion, sleep, immunity, pain, skin health, and often alongside modern medicine, not instead of it. Okay? Some people do choose to just live with herbs and have a fully natural way of dealing with their health. And some just want to complement it, and that's okay. It is mainstream healthcare for majority of the planet. I think that's what we all can agree on with this study that's been released by the World Health Organization in 2023. There is actually another report from the World Health Organization, which is entitled 2025 to 2030 something, which is their plans of providing support so that herbal medicine and other modalities like other natural remedies can be used in the different parts of the world more safely. Okay, so understanding this information actually helps us reframe herbalism in our head. It is not, and it cannot be anymore just a trend. Okay, it is actually part of living. It is a lifestyle for a lot of people. It is widely used in a lot of countries. Okay, it is a system that continues to evolve alongside modern health systems. And you know what? Once we understand how widely herbal medicine is still used today, it'll be easier for us to actually make our decisions when we need help with our health. Okay? So, the next question is, how can we start using herbal medicine at home? So, let me share with you just how simple that is. But before we go any further, I think it's really important to just share with you that the safety and scope of my presentation really is more for education and cultural understanding, focusing on gentle and external use of a lot of these herbs. There will be discussions of internal use based on how I use it with my family, as well as how the Fijians traditionally use these remedies. I will also be sharing with you some of my knowledge from my travels. For those of you that don't know, I am a trailing spouse, and my husband and I, for the last 25 years that we've been together, have been moving every 3 years and have lived in different countries every 3 years. So I've gained the knowledge of the herbal remedy practices in those places, and that's one of those things that I'll be sharing as well in this discussion today and in all my courses. So traditional knowledge varies, and safety will always come first. So if you are pregnant, you're breastfeeding, if you have a medical condition or taking medications, or if you're unsure about correct plant identification, and that's the really important thing to stress. Correct plant identification is crucial to be able to ensure that you have the right herb right in front of you. So if you have any doubts on those, please do not use this or any of the herbs that we're going to be discussing internally. Also, make sure that you seek your doctor's advice, especially if you have a condition, if you're pregnant, you're breastfeeding. Okay? All right. So, and again, all of these is just for educational purposes. So now that we've gone through that, let's talk about the first herb that I did tell you guys on our flyer we will be discussing. It's about the papaya. The papaya, also called carica papaya, that's its scientific name. It's called weleti here in Fiji. It's called papaya. Even in the Philippines, papaya in Indonesia. It can be called popo, papita, kapaya in other regions. Now, this is an amazing plant, fruit, and herb. It's one of those plants that is both food and medicine. It's a delicious fruit eaten regularly. If you haven't eaten it, oh my God, you have to try it. Here in Fiji, we love it because it's always so yummy, always so sweet. It can be cooked, you can have it fresh, you can add it to meals, you can use it for health supporting purposes as well. It is a great source of beta carotene or vitamin A, great source of vitamin C. Here in Fiji and a lot of the different cultures and countries, different parts of the papaya plant are used for supporting for supporting health. Okay, so here in Fiji, we're going to be talking about leaves, fruit, sap, and seeds. Um, we will be using on the practical side only, as I mentioned earlier, the external use of the papaya, but we will be discussing some of the internal uses for the different countries that I've been in. So if you look at this, slide that I've shared with you here, it says that in Fiji and in the Gao Island specifically, because there was a book that actually came out where and not just a book, sorry, there was a report that came out in a clinical study about how people from the island of Gao actually uses papaya, and it's for toothaches, for cuts, for incisions. Okay. In Fiji and in other parts of the world, papaya is also used for fever, for general weakness. It's used for skin and wound and rashes. So it's used as a wash in those cases. It's used for digestive discomfort. It's used to support infections and viral illnesses. Papaya is one of those that's used a lot in Sri Lanka for dengue fever. It's an antiparasitic, and it's a great laxative. So growing up, when we were constipated, my mom would just give us papaya because papaya is a laxative. Okay. Again, food and medicine at the same time. So another thing, when I was learning about how waleti is used here in Fiji, it actually was made. I realized in my readings that it's not used in just one single village. Waleti has been used across multiple regions here in Fiji, particularly in the rural and village settings. Um, and from what I've learned while living here, papaya leaf preparations are the most commonly known and used in villages across Viti Levu, including areas such as Tai Levu, Rewa, and Naitasiri, as well as in other parts of Fiji. The leaves, and I'm going to show you how big that leaf is, have traditionally been boiled and used as wash often during times of illness, fever, weakness, conditions where the immune system is low, and when the body is under stress. Similar to other tropical cultures across the Pacific and Southeast Asia, waleti isn't treated as a special remedy. Usually, it's reserved only for emergencies and usually just used as food. It's treated as a familiar, accessible plant, something people turn to because it grows nearby. In fact, when you drive around here in Fiji, every home has a papaya. Every home has a papaya growing either inside the house, inside their gates, rather. If not, it's growing outside their gates. I remember when we first got here to Fiji and we were walking around, we were driving around. You would almost be tempted to just stop at a corner because you'd find a papaya tree that had so many fruits, both ripe and unripe. So it's everywhere. That's why it's one of those plants that can sometimes be forgotten because it's just there, right? We're kind of, human nature is that way, isn't it? Like, we usually think of an amazing herb first, or an amazing plant first that treats something because it's so special, because you don't just have it lying around. When you always see it, you forget about its medicinal properties and you just see it as food, right? So I'm here to remind you guys, and if you're watching from Fiji, waleti is an amazing herb. Okay. Um, I guess one thing that's important to add here is that a lot of the things that I'll be sharing with you on papaya, as practice here, are information that I've read on research papers, on scientific journals, and in books. Um, it's because papaya is something that I've also used when I was back in the Philippines. It is something that I'm really familiar with, and that's where the sharing is coming from. Again, when we were living in Sri Lanka, we heard so much about the use of papaya and how it was used for. The same goes to when we were living in Indonesia. So I guess something we'll see here again and again throughout this lecture is that what I'll be sharing with you are the experiences I've had, the the uh, how do you call it, the way it's been practiced and used in the different countries, and not just based on actual records. Okay, one example of more location specific knowledge with papaya is how the Caribbeans used papaya leaves. So the Caribbeans use papaya leaves to wrap meat. It's huge, so you can wrap meat with it. In fact, let me go back to the back so I can stand up a bit. I don't like sitting down. It gets me exhausted. Whoops, let me grab my fake stand here. Otherwise, this is not going to be on the right level. Okay. I want to show you the beautiful papaya leaf that I actually harvested today. It's bigger than my face. Can you see that? Look at that. It's amazing. So this papaya is literally growing outside the balcony of our bedroom. And just always blows my mind how amazing this herb is. Let me show you how a little papaya leaf looks. I harvested this earlier today because it was meant to be raining right now, but well, clearly it's not raining. So when the papaya leaf is this small, that's not really the best leaf to actually get for you for your medicine. It's better to get a slightly more mature leaf. Baby leaves are still um, pulling all their properties in, if that makes sense. You know, they're not mature enough. They don't have everything that you need. But if that's all you have, then go for it. Okay. If you have a bigger tree, then I would always not get the biggest leaf. I would get like the middle sized leaf, because am I missing something here? Oh, yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm just looking at the chats. Because sometimes the bigger leaves are also on their way to die. Like they're about to end their life cycle. So you want to reach them at its peak when they're the most healthy. That being said, papaya is an anti-parasitic, which means that the plant itself also knows how to repel all these bugs and stuff that actually comes in contact with the plant. So you can't go wrong by using a very old papaya or a very young papaya. Use what you have available. That's what I want to say. Okay. All right. So again, with a leaf this big, how can you not use that to actually wrap your meat? Right? So when you wrap your meat in papaya, the reason why it's used by the Caribbean that way is because the sap that comes out when you fold the papaya leaf is actually an enzyme and a meat tenderizer. So if you haven't tried it, try to do that. It's an amazing way of actually making your meat more tender and yummy at the same time. That white sap that comes out of the papaya, and I'm going to show you that shortly, is actually an enzyme known as papain. And papain is used in a lot of digestive enzyme capsules because papain is very similar to the human digestive enzyme called pepsin. Okay. And that's also why when you eat papaya, have it before your meals rather than after your meals because you can take advantage of the papain while you're eating your fresh papaya. Okay. Drinking the leaf as tea is also a great way to support your digestion, but you don't need to do anything more than just eating the fruit to actually get all the health benefits of the papaya. Okay. Now, papaya, as you can see there, is used also for stomach discomfort, stomach ulcers. It is also a great way to counteract stomach discomfort caused by aspirin, caused by steroids, caused by medications like antibiotics. Some antibiotics, when you take away from food, actually causes a lot of discomfort. Papaya is a great one to actually have and can relieve that discomfort. In Central America, people apply the combination of the ripe fruit and crushed seeds to their skin to heal wounds, cuts, and infections. I actually just remembered, and I might share it on the next slide, of how in the encyclopedia of this herbalist called Bartram, he actually talks about how papaya was used in wound healing in one of his case studies, and I'll share that shortly. But let's not just talk about the benefits. Let's actually look at how we can use it at home. So I've briefly talked about how we can boil them, how we can get the sap, but I want to be able to show them to you so that you can join me and you can do this as well at home. Okay. So let's move to the practical part of papaya preparation. Papaya preparation. So I might try and stop this slide so that you can actually see. Actually, just before that, I prepared another slide here. Okay, so with the papaya, different parts that use is the fruit. Now, with the papaya preparations, I did. Let me just move my herbs. I have both the unripe and the ripe papaya. And the reason for that is the unripe papaya is also used for remedies. In fact, when you open this papaya, this is where the sap comes out. Sometimes when you break a papaya leaf, you can see the sap coming out. Usually it's when it's fresh. Not sure if I can see it here. I can give it a try. Actually, let's try the little one. But again, this papayas I have pulled out from my garden, cut out from my garden earlier this morning. Yeah, there is still some white coming out of the base here, but not a lot. So if I do this, yeah, you don't see it much. You see a lot of the sap coming out when it's fresh, but right now you can't see that anymore. That's okay, little papaya. Okay, but we'll show you with this one. And so, as I was saying earlier, we're going to be using ripe or green. Okay, so see what you've got there. The seeds can be used. We will not be talking about how the seeds are used in this class today. That is something that we talk about in our Michelle Jones coaching group, and even more deeply in our courses. Okay, we will also be using the leaves, as I said here, Okay, so if you guys have a tree outside, grab a papaya leaf, see that it's clean, just wipe it off. If it has some sort of dirt or insects, wash them off, and we will use only the clean part of the papaya. Okay, every time you're creating your own remedies, because it's going to go inside your system, make sure that they're all clean. Okay, all right, so as it says there, we're going to be doing a decoction with the leaf. We will be talking about how they're used as poultice as well. We will talk about the sap, how you can get the sap out for toothache, minor cuts, small skin injuries. And we will also talk briefly about how it's used in viral illnesses. Okay. Now, in with dengue fever, that is a viral issue, but papaya is used in dengue fever because it is known to actually increase the platelets in your blood. When you have dengue fever, the most dangerous part of dengue fever is your liver getting really badly affected and your platelets dropping too low. And papaya, the decoction of papaya can actually help with that one. Okay. Now, one thing that's really important to note while we're doing our papaya practical side is that if you're pregnant, if you're breastfeeding, please do not take the papaya internally. If you have children under the age of 2, please make sure that you put the decoction away because they're not traditionally, they're meant to avoid taking that decoction. Okay? All right. So again, check that out and be aware. Now let's look at how we can get the sap. Very simply, I would get fork. And again, because it's only used when you have like minor cuts, you can do this with your papaya and then use it again. Actually, let me remove my slide. Remove first. Yes. So you can grab your raw papaya, and then once you've used the sap, you can actually use it for cooking. It's similar to a vegetable we have in the Philippines called sayote. I don't know what the English name of sayote is, but it's a great um, fruit to actually have in your veggies. So it's great for stew. We use sayote or raw papaya for like our chicken soups. Really, adds to the flavor of the chicken soup. And again, a lot of vitamins and minerals in your papaya. So if you want to get the sap, you basically, like with aloe vera, score it. Oop. Yeah. Okay. And then I'm gonna put this there so you can see how the sap is now coming out, right? And you collect that and you put it on your tooth if you've got a toothache, tooth infection, and you put it on wounds if you actually have a cut. All right, can you see that? Cool, right? If you want more, you basically slice it. I don't really have anywhere to use it right now, and it's one of those things that you don't collect. If you collect it, it doesn't really last that long. So you use it when you need it. Okay. In some natural therapy store or natural remedy store, you can actually buy the sap in powder form. It's already been dried and powderized. Okay, but again, if you've got papaya growing, use the fresh fruit because then you get the most potent properties with your fresh fruit. Okay. Yes. So papaya for the skin and wound, because papaya has an viral, it's an anti-inflammatory as well, and it's got healing properties in sorry, in that papaya. It actually is used for wound healing. So remember I told you I would share with you a oops, sorry. Did I get rid of that? Sorry, give me a sec. Yes. Okay. I promised that I would share with you a. Oh, sorry, my video just disappeared on my end. I hope you guys are still seeing me. Yes. Yep. Okay. Cool. Yep. I think I'm back. Now, because let me just move things around so that my video is not disappearing. Okay. Now, as I was saying earlier, in one of the books that I used when I was studying herbal medicine, it actually said that Thomas Bartram, so he's the author of Encyclopedia of Herbal Medicine, he talks about a clinical case where fresh pawpaw fruit was used topically to support the healing of a patient who had just gone through surgery and whose wound was not healing properly. And instead, the wound was getting infected. So, in that case, they did a whole week of treatment with papaya, with the fruit. So, if I slice this one, the fruit would have a lot of sap, and slice it and just put it on the wound. And after 1 week, the wound was healed very well. So that was how back then papaya was used. So which means that to this day and age, some cultures, including here in Fiji, actually still use papaya for their wounds. Again, the sap as well for the teeth. Okay. Um, we are going to cut up our papaya. So if you're going to use the papaya, oh, one more thing, guys. So I mentioned here on this slide that I just showed you earlier to actually avoid it during pregnancy. And the reason for that is in some regions like India and Sri Lanka, preparations of the green unripe fruit, okay, unripe fruit is traditionally associated with fertility related effects, which means it's actually used as a contraceptive. So, if you're wanting to have kids, do not eat the raw fruit or the green fruit because in India and Sri Lanka, they actually believe in that contraceptive effect of the green fruit. Okay. So, wanting to have babies, just stay off the papaya for a while. You may notice as well that papaya is often spoken about in relation to um, dengue outbreaks, not just in Sri Lanka, but in India as well, and in some other countries. And the reason for that, again, like here in Fiji, is it's one of those herbs that are readily available. You can find it, you can easily get it, you can easily treat anyone in the community or anyone in your family who is struggling with the disease. And because of how easily it's used, it's talked about because of the success that people get from it. And they do get it again from drinking the decoction. So I'm going to show you the decoction. The decoction I'm going to show you, we are going to use topically. You can use it for itch. You can use it for your skin. You can use it for cooling down someone who's sick. If you want to trial it, dilute the decoction a little bit, have it as tea instead. I think that's the safest way to do it. Any herb you want to experiment with, experiment as a tea. Okay, as long as they're not toxic herbs. Okay, all right. So I have here my pot. I've already put water in my pot. You don't need a lot of water in your pot. Put the amount of water that you want to use up straight away. Again, because these things are readily available here, we don't really need to make a lot of them. You can make as little as a 1 cup preparation, or you can use some of these bigger jars, put it there so that you can use it for a few days if you're taking it orally. If you're taking it and using it as wipes, as wash, as poultice, then you will have to create a bigger batch. Okay, when you use it as a poultice, there are two ways of doing it. One is boiling the leaf and adding the leaf in the poultice itself, or you can also actually slice up the plant and put it in that like little bag and use it for the skin. Okay, because remember the sap heals wounds, heals cuts. So if using it for cuts and you don't want it on your skin, because some people actually can't tolerate the sap of the papaya, and if that's you, then you want it on a poultice, so it's not directly on your skin. You can apply it on someone who's actually needing it on those wounds. Okay, and again, the more dilute things that you are testing for the first time, because again, we all react slightly differently to all the different herbs. So if you want it not quite as strong and you just want to try it for a bit, another thing that I would do is I would actually slice it, boil it. But when I say boil, don't put too much water, just a little bit of water, and then put it in the I was gonna say katsa. It's our it's our like the white cloth or the muslin cloth that you use. And when you put it in the muslin cloth, then that's when you use it as a poultice. Okay. All right. So I love decoctions. I don't like messy stuff. I like it simple. So if I had a cut, I would either just grab this, slice myself a piece, put that piece on the cut, cover it with a bandage, and that's it. Or wash it with the uh, papaya leaves. I was gonna say banana leaves. Okay, so all you need to do is, again, I've got a very big leaf here. I will just get some of this and then use it. See if there's saps. Doesn't matter. And you always want to cut it in small pieces. Now, some people get like a chopping board and they chop it with their knife. You can do that. You can cut it with a pair of scissors. Sometimes it's not as easy to cut it. Or the other thing that you guys have to take note of, and this happens to me when I've been working on quite a bit of herbs, is when you keep doing that, your fingers start getting green. So if you don't want that, cut. Use scissors or use a knife. Okay. I really love being able to touch my herbs though, and so I really don't mind. You can always wash your hands afterwards, right? So with papaya leaves, because even though this has been harvested earlier this morning, my hands now feel a little bit sticky. So there is still some sap that's there, not quite as strong or as much as if it were fresh and I started ripping it. Okay. I did have to wash this. My guava tree here right now is being attacked by some sort of pest, and it's the ones that you have to wash off with like soapy water. So I had to wash this a little bit. And yeah, and the amount that you need, really not much. You can use up the whole leaf because what else are we going to do with that, right? And then that means that you can put a little bit more water in it. We don't do measurements in this course. It really is just doing things as simply as possible. If you're using papaya for the first time, then maybe you just want one hand. One hand would be like the whole papaya thing, all right? Because it's like something like that. And there's another one here. So you can just use that one, or you can boil the whole thing and then put it in a big jar, and you can just keep using it as wash or as a tea. Okay. When you use papaya as a tea, actually, I will show you how to do that as well. You just need a plunger. I don't usually put it in a pot. When you put it in a pot, that is called a decoction. A tea, you literally just infuse it in water and you keep it infused for about 5 to 10 minutes. And that's it. That allows the hot water to actually seep through the herb and get its properties, but you don't get a very strong herb that way. And it's good because it's milder for your system and you don't have to worry about dosaging. Okay. long as you're not, making a huge batch and just drinking it all up, right? Okay. So I might stop at this. I do like the idea of the sap. Saps are amazing for warts. They're amazing also for the cuts. So especially when it's like that, it's almost like a cotton bud thing that you can use, and then you can just put it, where your wart is, right, or where your cut is. Another lesson there. Yep. So you can see. Yep. Can you see that? Don't know if you're seeing the bit of sap that's actually coming out. Okay. So I'm gonna stop this in a bit, and we are gonna boil it. You let it boil and then you let it simmer. So you don't keep it boiling, you let it simmer. When you keep it boiling, it becomes too bitter, it becomes too strong. That's not the whole goal. And we could do it, so depending on what we're making a decoction for. But for papaya, you can let it simmer for about 5 minutes, and that should be okay. All right, so we got this. Whoops. And I'm going to show you just how much this is. I think be able to, whoop, there you go. You can see my herbs there. You can see the water. And I will just push it back a little bit with you can use a wooden spoon or a spatula. I do love my spatula. Sometimes they absorb too much into the wood, so I don't really like using wood for everything. There are some herbs that I do use the woods for, but not for everything. Again, I explained that more thoroughly in our courses. This really is just making things very simple, right? Okay. Whew. If I were to boil all that, if I used up this whole plant, so as you can see, there's still quite a bit there. I only got one part here. Okay. All right. So, or maybe two. So if I were to do all that, I would need a bigger container because I need more water. You want to be able to cover the plant and have a little bit more on top of that, because you're wanting to boil it and then simmer it and then make it go down to half of the amount of water that you initially started with. Okay, so I'm gonna boil this, and then we're gonna talk about the next herb. Okay, I'm gonna show you where that went. Okay, so there I've got it boiling. I've got the cover on. When it starts boiling, we will let it simmer down. Right now it's on high heat. Okay. Now while that's boiling, let's talk about ginger. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Just going to look at it. Sorry, give me a sec. Okay, I think we're good so far. All right, so let's go back. Okay, so let's just make sure that we didn't forget anything. What else is there? So, yep, we talked about the sap. We talked about, excuse me, dengue fever, children not being able to use it. Okay. All right. Oops. Let's go to our next one. Okay. Laya Laya. Laya Laya is actually ginger here in Fiji. I love the names. I love what they call it. So, ginger is also known as luya in the Philippines. It is called adrak in India. I think if I'm pronouncing it correctly, it's Shengjiang, Shengjiang in Chinese. I hope I pronounced that right. Okay, so, oops, oops. Okay, my cursors are not moving properly. Okay, anyway, so scientific name of ginger is officinale, and it's one of the most universally used medicinal plants in the world. I love ginger. We love it for cooking. It's like papaya, no, used for both food and medicine. It's an amazing warming herb. It's great for cold climates. It is often used for colds. So for it's often used for when you are cold, when you got the chills, so colds, flu, fever, and when the body feels run down or heavy. Traditionally, it's also used to support the digestive system, especially when you're bloated or you've got nausea or if there's discomfort after eating. Okay, great times to actually use ginger. Ginger is commonly prepared as a boiled drink or a decoction. Sometimes, sorry, I am just looking at my papaya and making sure. Yeah, so it hasn't boiled yet. Okay, so let me go back. So ginger, we prepare it boiled or as decoction. Sometimes it can also be combined with other plants, uh, like papaya. Both amazing food, not eaten as a dessert though, but more as a flavoring for meals. It is not treated as something special because again it is also so readily accessible. When I was in Canberra, I could grow ginger, but I had to make sure that I grew it at the right time because ginger doesn't really grow in very cold places. So when we look beyond Fiji, we see that ginger appears again and again across different cultures. The Chinese love ginger. Ayurveda uses ginger a lot. You know, in Ayurveda, they use it to stimulate digestion and circulation. In traditional Chinese medicine, ginger is used to warm the body and support the lungs and digestion. When we were younger in the Philippines, and we would go into our music class. After a music class, they'd say drink ginger, so it actually helps um, support your vocal cords and your throat. Okay, so ginger is recognized as a warming, stimulating, supportive herb. Again, particularly when your body's cold, sluggish, or under stress. So, what's important to understand is that ginger's medicinal role has always been practical and everyday use. Okay, it's not about complex formulas. It's not about measurements. It's really something that we can easily grab and get if we have a sore throat, if we have if we've been exhausted because we've been talking in a in a lecture, in a webinar. Okay, let me just quickly show you. So it looks like my herb is just about to boil, and I will, oh, here it is. I will just push it down just a little bit to see as well. Yep, it is boiling beautifully. Okay, I wonder if I can grab you and remove this one first and show you. Yes. Okay. There you go. Can you see that? Yep. Or maybe I could turn on the light here. There, that's better. Right? So we're seeing it boil. And because it's now boiling, you can see the bubbles even more if I do this. Right? So we will just let it boil for maybe a minute or two. And then we will put the fire down and start letting it simmer for about 5 to 10 minutes. Okay? And that's it. That's all it is. Now, if you want it stronger, then you can you can make the decoction longer, but I would really strongly suggest that you do our course and understand what that means. Meantime, if this is your first exposure to the papaya leaves, then just putting on the fire, then just do it for about 5 minutes in the simmer setting. Okay, so as you can see, I put down the fire there. Okay, can you see that? Yeah, put down the fire. We don't want it bubbling too much anymore. It really is about just letting it simmer and letting it get the rest of the properties of the herb. Okay. All right. So let's put ginger back. Let's put luya back. Let's put laya back. Okay. So in today's session, we're focusing on understanding ginger's traditional role and character. We're not going to be prescribing. As I said, we're just going to be doing like kitchen type stuff for ginger, because the amazing plant of ginger really is used very simply. Okay. Now, if papaya has taught us about cleansing and gentle support, ginger teaches us warmth. That's what ginger is about. It's about warmth, it's about movement, it's about circulation. And actually, between those two herbs, you can treat a lot of stuff already that's wrong with your body, right? Anti-inflammatory properties of ginger plus the amazing oh, I forgot something about papaya. One really important thing about the papaya. Okay, if you guys go to the beach, even here in Fiji, so when we went to Black Beach, I think that's what it's called, Black Sand Beach here in Fiji, my son got wrapped by a blue bottle jellyfish and he was in a lot of pain. If we had papaya, we can put the papaya on the wound itself, on like the where the tentacles were, and it would have relieved him fast. So two things that are great for that would be papaya as well as vinegar. Vinegar is actually one of those things that's more commonly used, but papaya is an amazing remedy for jellyfish stings. Okay, for the stingers. Okay, so let's go to, where is my, give me a sec. Here we go. Okay. Everything is moving around when I. Okay, cool. Here we go. So let's go to the ginger rhizome. And because I am talking too much, I am just going to tell my Google to remind me. Hey, Google, set the alarm for 5 minutes. So that would be more or less.
Yeah. Your alarm set 3:31 p.m.
So that would have been already 5 minutes. I'll add another 5 minutes for us, and then I'll turn off the fire, and then we'll strain it so that we can actually use it either for washing once it's cooled down, or we can have like a little bit of a decoction of it. If you're going to use it as tea, as I said, put it in a plunger, boil your water first. We can do that. And then we can actually do a combination in our plunger. I've got my plunger here. Why don't we do that? Yep. So I am going to put some papaya leaf here, and then we're going to put some ginger as well. So you don't need a lot if it's tea. I always say just, once you've done that, that's it. Just a small amount, like a tablespoon fresh herb. And I'm just going to cut it up. Whoops. Okay. So that's it. Yeah. You get there. And then we're going to put some ginger in a bit. Let's just talk about ginger first. So when we use ginger, when we use ginger, we use the rhizome. And what the rhizome is basically the root. This is ginger. Sometimes when you buy them from the grocery, this is how they look. It's quite dark. Yeah. So I just remove this one first. Yeah. So it's quite dark once you bought it from the grocery. When you've harvested it, it's much lighter. So yeah, it does get dark as it dries, and that's basically what you're seeing when you buy it from the grocery. It's already dried ginger. Yeah. So again, this is what it looks like when you've harvested it. Yeah. And then it does dry up. Sometimes it can be a little bit purpley or pinky, depending on the variety of the ginger that you've actually used. Love the smell of ginger. Okay, let's put that back. Okay, so for ginger, they can be prepared as tea. They can be prepared as decoction as well. They can also be prepared as an infused oil or a salve. But really, ginger is one of those that, because they're so easily available, more often than not, they're just used as tea or a decoction. If you have aches and pains in the body, then you can actually create an infusion of ginger. We're not going to do infusions today. We will just be doing the decoctions today. I can explain the infusions, but we will be running out of time if I actually, we're already running. We've already been talking for an hour 30. Okay, so I've been going on for quite a bit. Turned off the fire now. Just make it a little bit lower. We have an alarm. That's right. Don't need to worry. Okay, so again, with ginger, the part of the plant that we use is the roots. We can use it either fresh or dried, and that's why you have those ginger tea that you can use. But because ginger is so easy to get from the shops, from the market, from the grocery, get yourself some free from some fresh ginger, okay? Because the properties of ginger are more potent when they're fresh. You do lose some of the properties when they're dried. Okay. We look at ginger preparation as a warming tea today. As I said, we will add it here with our papaya, just so that we've got a little bit of exciting thing to taste. In many cultures, ginger is prepared in other forms like tinctures, powders, capsules. But what's important to understand is that all of these come from the same basic relationship with the plant. Ginger is valued because it brings warmth, it brings movement, circulation, and that's what it's used for. It's used when the body is sluggish, cold, when it's stagnant. Okay, that's the term that's used. But like papaya, it is food. It is food and medicine. And because of that, if you're not well, have soup that's got ginger. Stop. So my Google's already told me to turn off the fire, and that's what I'm doing. And um, what was I saying? Yeah, that's right. So if you've got a fever, you've got a cold, you're not feeling well, have a soup, put a lot of ginger in it. In traditional medicine, we believe you're not supposed to have any oily foods when you're unwell. So yeah, um, you could probably do a bit of a stir fry, have it in baked fish, put a lot of ginger. So all that actually helps rebuild your system just because you've eaten food with ginger, right? Or you've eaten the ginger. Ginger is a very strong plant, which is why traditional systems emphasize using it in moderation. When you use it too much, it can actually also irritate your gut. It is not good to be taken a lot of, especially if you're pregnant or you're breastfeeding, because all of that goes to your baby. Large amounts, again, as I said, can cause digestive irritation. And always, when you're not sure, get the guidance of your doctor. Okay. All right. So with the ginger, this is what we're going to do. I am going to choose the fresh herb, but they're so tiny. Okay. Oh, I can just use this one. Yes, this has just dried. Only thing that we do with ginger, some people don't, but I actually like doing unless I grew it in my garden. And this ginger I did not grow in my garden. Ginger, you need to brush really well when you're washing because the soil goes on it. Whether you've grown it in your garden or not, you got to get rid of those soil. Um, you then peel it, slice it, or grate it. So let me just grab my peeler. We are gonna peel some of it. You know what's great about ginger as well is if so I just cut that. If I wanted it just to drink because I've been talking and I now want to just have something that will be stimulating for my throat, will help my throat feel better, I would actually just cut my ginger. Let me remove this one again. Okay. So just this small ginger, and I would get rid of the sides, and I would literally just get like a sliver of it. Okay. So I am going to do that. And it's such a soft herb, especially if you get them straight from your garden. So a lot of the people that sell it here in Fiji have it in their gardens, which I love. And they're quite nice and soft. Uh, I mean, mind you, ginger is never really too hard, right? So even if it's dried, it's not that hard. You can still peel it nicely. You don't really need like a super duper peeler for it. Okay, so again, I peel it because I want to make sure I don't get any of the nasties from the soil. There is truth in what others say, and they go, there's probiotic in the soil and blah, blah. Yes, there is. I agree. But there's also a lot of nasties, especially if it did not grow in your own garden and you don't know what's there. Okay, so this is all I need. Okay, so I've peeled it. I will now just slice it. Some people just squash it, and you can do that too. Or you can slice it. Actually, it's been something that we've been doing since we were young, and so I'm just so used to it that I just slice it. Slicing is also a great way of you drying your ginger. So if you have such a big ginger harvest, slice it and dry it. Okay, so you can see I've sliced. Oopsie. Right, and I will just put it in my tea. And then we're just going to put water over it. We can also do a decoction, and it'll be similar to what we did there, where you cut probably a bigger chunk of ginger, put some water, just a little bit over it, because unless you've covered the whole bottom, remember when you put water and ginger, there's a lot of water on the sides, right? So just slightly covering the ginger, boil it, let it boil for maybe another 2 to 5 minutes, and then turn down the fire, let it simmer for another 5 to 10 minutes. And that's it. That's your decoction. Okay, so I'm going to put my hot water here. And we're just going to put enough for about a couple of cups. And that's it for me. I am sharing it with my husband. And amount of leaves, again, as I said, if you're just doing this for the first time, about a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons is enough. Don't do more than that. Oops. Once you know how your body feels when you've had it, then adjust accordingly. But as tea, this is a safer way of actually drinking your herbs, especially when you want to experience it for the first time. Okay? as long as they're not toxic herbs. All right. Okay. Now that we've done that, I am now going to show you how we will do what we will do with the decoction. So usually I would prefer that you let it cool down. We don't really have a lot of time. These bottles are quite safe even if you put boiled water in it. In fact, we usually put this in a pot with hot water and we boil it so that we sterilize the bottles. They're also boiled in those pots to actually preserve whatever jams or food products are put in there. Okay, so I'm going to use that, and I am just going to get my strainer because once you've done your decoction, you can now strain it and get rid of the leaves. Now, what do you do with the leaves? You simply throw it back into the garden because it's compost. Okay, so we are going to literally make you face here, and I am just going to pour it in. Oops. Okay, bit more. Another thing that I can do with the leaves that are still in there. So there's the leaves. I can actually now put that in a muslin cloth and over use it over my skin once it's cool. Okay, cool is important. Once it's cool, and use it as a poultice. Okay, as a poultice, it heals your wounds. It actually supports your skin as well, gets rid of rashes or whatever stuff that you've got on your skin. And it also is a good way or good thing to use when you have someone who's got the fever, who's got the chills, but cooled down. It has to be cooled down. Okay. All right. That is it for me today. You get let this cool, and then we're gonna cover it up. We can now take that decoction as a wash for wounds, for bites, insect bites, mosquito bites. Um, you can also make it stronger by washing the bites with this first, and then getting the sap and using the sap to actually, you know, heal the bites faster. Okay. I hope you found that helpful. You found that um, enlightening. Oops, I just realized I was putting it on the next page, but you guys aren't looking at it. So let's go to the, there we go. Next page. So, guys, if you enjoyed this, if you want to dive deeper into the other herbs here in Fiji and that are available as well in other parts of the world, do join our Michelle Jones coaching group on Facebook. Be a part of our group. Don't miss any of the next 10 free herbalism classes. Learn as well about natural remedies, and it's all already on our group. You'll learn about making tinctures, extracts, oils, salves, balms. We've also got stuff there to create your own cider vinegars, apple cider, pineapple cider vinegar, yogurts as well. So if all these things, living healthy, living naturally is something that you actually like to do or are interested in, join our Facebook group, Michelle Jones Coaching. And don't miss out on the rest of the series. If you enjoy this, please share this with your friends and your family. Have them jump into either our YouTube channel, Michelle T. Jones, our Facebook page, Michelle T. Jones Official, and hope all of you can jump in and join our Michelle Jones coaching group on Facebook. Again, have a great day, everyone. I am going to plunge and grab my tea and tell you how it tastes like actually before I say bye bye. Again, there's nothing here. There's no sweetener. There's no sweetener. We don't need sweeteners. I love ginger the way it is. And again, still very hot. Smells really good. Smells really, really good. Let's see if I can drink it. I don't usually like drinking them hot, but it's always good to trial and let you know. I actually love that taste. It's got a bitter taste. It's got the ginger bitter taste, but it's also got a slightly bitter taste from the papaya. If drinking the decoction or the tea is actually too strong, put honey. Okay. Now that doesn't mean that you can make your decoction very, very strong because you can make it taste better with honey. Again, if you're doing it for the first time, we're telling you to actually decoct or simmer in less time because you need to see how your body reacts to it first. Okay. You don't want to have a very strong decoction that you're tasting straight away, or better yet, have it as tea because it's a safer way. It's always a safer way. Yep, I do love that. Oh, yum, yum, yum. Okay. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. And I will see you on our Michelle Jones coaching group and in our next free herbalism class. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, depending on you're joining us from. I'm Michelle Jones, coming to you from Suva, Fiji, and hoping that you enjoyed that. Bula Vinaka, people. Bye.